Hello boys and girls, and welcome back to art class. So this week I know a lot of you are still working on your under the sea drawings, and you need some time to finish drawing them and coloring them in to make them really bright and beautiful and detailed and wonderful. So you have this week to finish that as well, and just take your time. And even if you don't finish it this week and you need more time because you're really spending your time making little things and seashells and oysters and the works, take your time and just do your best. Remember, when you're drawing your under the sea drawing, to incorporate the things that we're learning. So we want to see things behind things and things in front of things, because that is what we are learning in this lesson. So try to incorporate that if you can. Also, I have a fun little project that you guys might want to try if you finish and you are looking for something creative to do at home. You don't have to do this, but I usually show everyone this at some point because it is really cool to learn how to make something pop off of a page. So this is something cool to try. So I call this a Popmoji project, where you can make things look like they are popping off the page. And you can see I'm kind of copying emojis. These symbols probably look very familiar to you. And then I have some simple things decorating the background. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys how to make one of these for this project. You will need one or two. It's better to have two, but if you only have one piece of paper, it's fine. A pair of scissors, some Scotch tape, a pencil. Always good to have an eraser. And if you have a Sharpie lying around, that's great. If not, a black crayon. If not, it's fine, but something black, like something that can make a black mark. And then you're gonna want to use crayons or colored pencils. I wouldn't suggest markers for this because markers are a wet material and they tend to curl the paper. So if I had used markers for this, you would see that my paper would start to curl and then it wouldn't look as nice and it wouldn't look like it was popping off the page. So, okay, so try to get those materials ready and here we go. Okay. So, the secret hiding behind making these little symbols pop off the page is that behind them, and I'm just gonna peel one off to show you what I did here very carefully. I made little paper loops with tape and paper strips and tape them to the back of the shapes and then tape them onto the paper. So there are a few steps of this process. First, you have to figure out what kind of a thing you want going on in the background. Now this could be a card to someone, so you could write someone a letter and then put things around it. You could just have your name in the middle and then put things around it. So it's first you want to think about, what is your idea? Like, what are you making this for? Who are you making this for? And if you only have one piece of paper, you can cut it in half and make this side the background, and then use all of this paper to draw your little shapes on it. Also, the second piece of paper can be a scrap paper. You just need the back because you can use it to cut the little strips. So scrap paper is good too. So I'm gonna come up with an idea for my background. And I'm gonna keep it really simple for my instructions. So that could be something as simple as making polka dots. And again, I'm keeping mine really simple. And then I always like to trace things, and that's why I was saying, if you have something available like a Sharpie or a black marker or a black crayon, kind of helps your drawing to pop out. It brings some life to it. And then I would color these in. I'm gonna find some fun colors to color them in. Okay. And I'm going to put that aside. And on this page, I'm going to need to cut off a little bit because I'm going to need some paper to make those loops on the back. So I'm going to put this aside. And now this bigger part of my paper can be where the paper that I use to make my objects or shapes or whatever it is that you're adding. And you could make them whatever. You do not have to make an ice cream cone and a star. You could make whatever you want to make. I'm gonna do a rainbow with you guys because I was thinking it would be fun to add a rainbow. And I can also do an ice cream cone because I'm not sure that everybody knows how to draw a good ice cream cone, so this might be a good time to learn how to draw one. So I'm gonna do a rainbow. So I'm gonna make a little tiny arch. How many colors does the rainbow have? 6, right? So that's 1, 2 colors, 3 colors, 4, 5, 6. And I went really slow to make sure that my lines did not crash into each other. And you guys know how to do that because that's exactly what we were learning right before we left school. And at the bottom of my arches, I attach a cloud. And for the ice cream cone, make a very pointy triangle, but don't draw the top of or the one side of the triangle. Instead, you're gonna put a scoop of ice cream and then a bumpy line and then diagonal. And I kind of put a little curved lines, not straight. They have a little bit of a curve to them. So this way and then crisscross this way. And then I want to stick a cherry in. So when we want to make it look like something is going inside of something else, I always like to put this little squiggly line. Cherry comes out. Oh, I overlapped. You guys know all about overlapping. So if I put a cherry on top of the ice cream cone, I need to erase this part of the ice cream cone. So I'm going to erase that and I'm going to just touch up this part like that. Okay, so now we have an overlap and then again, another squiggle so I can put the cherry stem. Okay, so you can do as many as you want. I'm just gonna stop at 2 and this is where I would trace. And again, black crayon works fine too. It does not have to be a Sharpie marker. Crayola marker is fine. I'm going a little fast because I know we don't like to sit through instructions for too long, so you guys should draw slower than me. After I trace things with Sharpie, you could see sometimes I didn't stay on the line as much as I wanted to, probably because I was going too fast, but I always like to take my eraser and kind of clean up all those pencil lines and get rid of them. Looks nice and neat, ready to be colored in. So I'm going to color this in. I chose colored pencils. Again, it's better to use colored pencils or crayons for this because markers tend to wet the paper and curl the paper, and we do not want our paper to curl. I'm also coloring this in faster than I usually would, so you guys should take your time so that you don't make any mistakes. And it's always a good idea not to push on your pencil. Like the lighter that you are on your pencil, the better this will look. Whoops. And the faster it is to color. When you start pushing on your materials, it becomes a little bit more difficult to color it in. So just gentle on your pencil or your crayon. You don't have to push hard. Last color is purple. Okay, now it's time for cutting, and then of course I would also color in my ice cream cone. I always like to kind of cut around the shape first like this and just remove the object from the paper. And now that I have it all by itself, it's a lot easier to go in and cut away all the rest of the white paper. You really want to do a nice job with the cutting part of this, because if you have white edges around your shape, it's not going to look as cool and three-dimensional. So take your time. Remember, open the scissors mouth all the way, put the paper all the way in. Never cut with the tips of your scissors. If you're trying to get a nice smooth line, always put the paper inside the scissors mouth. And we have a lot of turns on this rainbow. So you can see how long it actually takes to do a nice cutting job. It takes a long time. So if you're not really into cutting, if you don't like cutting, stick to the simple shapes like hearts and smiley faces. But if you're up for the challenge of cutting out a rainbow, try it out. Okay, so now it's time to stick this on. So I need my background and I need a strip. So I'm gonna cut a strip of paper. Now it doesn't need to be so long. So I would say about that skinny and that tall. And I'm gonna roll it into a loop. Now the loop needs to hide behind the rainbow. So if my loop is really big and I put my rainbow in front of it and I can see the loop, that means it's too big. So I need it to be a little smaller, on the small side. And then I take my tape. Now it's probably a good idea that you guys make a couple of pieces of tape and put them at the edge of your table so that you can grab them a little bit easier when you need them. Okay, so there's a closed tape loop. Now I need another piece of tape. This tape is going to be a little bit longer, and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to stick it through my loop, but I'm going to have extra tape on the sides. That's really important because now I'm going to take that and I'm going to stick it behind my rainbow. Oops. I had a little too much tape. If you have too much tape, you can either wrap it around or you can trim it off. Okay, so now it's hiding behind my rainbow. Now I'm going to take another piece of tape, and this time when I stick it through, the sticky side is going to be facing the ceiling. So you should have sticky on both sides, and then I flip it over, stick it on, and don't forget to rub that tape down so that it stays on your paper. Okay, so now my rainbow is three-dimensional, sticking off my paper. Okay, let's do that one more time together. I'm gonna use this heart. I'll do this heart with you guys. Okay, so there's my heart. Take my scrap paper, cut a strip, roll it into a loop, tape it closed. Okay, so now it's a closed loop. Okay, now I'm going to take another piece of tape. You need it long enough so that you get sticky on both sides. So stick it through and stick the tape in the middle, or the paper in the middle. So I have sticky on both sides, and I can flip this upside down and stick it to the back of my heart. And remember, we don't want the loop showing. So if the loop's too big and you can see it, you might have to take it off and make it a little smaller. If you have extra, just trim it off. Okay, now time to stick it on. Sticky side facing the ceiling, stick it through. There's my two sticky edges. And I can stick this on my background. Don't forget to rub the tape down. And that's how it's done.